Hey everyone, this is Dylan from Metamaniacs. I'm coming here to you today with a little bit of a disenfranchised situation, but damn it, I promised that I would put out a video every Friday, and I intend to stick to it. I'm out of town. I'm kind of out of my wits. I've been working crazy hours, but um, I had some pretty cool things happen this week outside of work, and that's in Final Fantasy and the Final Fantasy TCG. So we've had a pretty cool Legend spoiled last week that I was hoping to cover, and there was a card earlier that I wanted to cover that I didn't, which I think is actually kind of perfect to cover now due to this newest Legend spoil. So without further ado, let's get into it. I've got some notes here. It's not going to be the perfect off-the-cuff video, but here we go. So the card that hopefully Dan will put right around here is Krile. So she's in my notes here, she's a 2 CP Earth Legend of the next set. Most people know her from a lot of the games. I did not play the earlier games, but she's a Warrior of Light. That's her job. 2 CP 5k. When she enters the field, choose a summon from either player's break zone. I'm paraphrasing, but you use summon from either player's break zone, and for the rest of the turn, you may choose to cast it. If you do, remove it from the game instead of putting it in the break zone after use. Now, that in itself is big. We'll continue the rest of her card effect before we have a conversation about it. After that, her action ability is you may pay 1 CP of any color and tap her, and you effectively may repeat her first effect, where you may choose a summon in either player's break zone, and if at any point in time during the rest of the turn you may cast it. Now, again, let's just cover why I feel like that's actually pretty good. Now, not every ways. I've got 3 main points here, scribbled down on some quick hotel paper. But so it says here, I've got, for 1, it effectively cheapens the cost of whatever summon that you're going to play. Normally you'd value a card at 2 CP in hand, right? So if you're going to cast a summon, you'd have to pay let's say you're going to cast Glacia Labolas. You would need to declare targets, pay your costs initially though. So your costs are going to be, Glacia Labolas is a 3 CP ice summon, so you'd have to produce 3 CP, one of which being ice, and in order to cast the summon. And then when you cast the summon, you'd lose that summon out of hand. So I think of that as a 2 CP out of hand, right? Because you paid the 3 CP to perform it, and you pay the 2 CP to lose it from hand in order to do it. If you're using Krile's ability, you're not really casting the summon from the hand, so you're not really losing any actual hand advantage. So you're paying 1 CP, which is effectively, and I'm not sure if this is proper, please feel free to comment and argue with me all you'd like, but it's effectively 1 CP cheaper than how you would actually cast the summon. There's a couple other cards that do stuff like that, like prior Una Legend, Light Una Legend, that used to be pay 0 and reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a summon you may cast it this turn. So again, instead of casting it from hand, where you lose the card out of hand post cast, you're not really losing a card from hand. You're losing a card from your break zone. In reference to Krile, with you, and it would be off the top of your deck, of course. Now, I think that cheapens the cost is like kind of the medium. What makes me feel like this is good, because medium isn't that great. The threat, though, the threat is huge. The threat of casting a summon, any summon in either player's break zone, so long as, heavy asterisk, there is a summon in either player's break zone that's worth casting and worth a threat. But that, comes down to deck building. I've got a bunch of cards that I feel like would be great threat cards, or at least highly efficient cards. I've got either Belias the Gigas, 1 CP or 2 CP. Kusith is not really a threat, but that's a great value card. I've got those first two cards mentioned because they're value. They'll draw you a card, or effectively fetch you a card. So you're paying 1 CP to net 2 CP, basically. I think it's really cool. Now you obviously have to pay the cost of the summon on top of it, but if you've already cast a Belias in your turn, in your game, you've already probably gotten something from it, or you discarded it, and there's nothing better about than discarding something early and that's not useful and getting it later when it is. So I think that's really cool, and that's something that she provides that nobody else provides right now. So I've got Belias and Kusith and kind of Mist Dragon in these could be values, and you could get more out of them by their first strike or their haste or negating damage or something from Mist Dragon to get them. But I think big cards are going to be threat cards, right? Now, if your opponent moves to attacks, you can be okay, I'm going to pay the 1 and I will choose Titan. Now, if you would 5 CP Titan summon, if you don't know what that does, it's choose a forward that you control and a forward opponent controls. Your forward gains plus 2,000 power, and it deals damage equal to the other forward based on its current power. So if you had a 7,000 power forward, you would boost it to 9,000, and then it would deal 9,000 damage to your opponent's forward that you chose. It's a great card to block, and it's a great card to get doubles. You're if you're attacking to even, and obviously you make your forward stronger, you kill something else and you block the thing that was even. It's just, it's the gravy train, and it's one of my favorite summons for that reason. Everybody knows what makes that good, so past that. So the threat of just hey, I've got a 2,000 plus blocker on deck at all times if I would like, and if you don't walk into it, I've got it for next turn if I want to. Diabolos is a big one, Wind Legend Diabolos, where you could untap all your forwards, tap it back up, reduce them to 1k, break something. Obviously, the more times you can cast Diabolos, the better. That's why cards are so good, like Citra, and that would actually, before we get into it, Citra is probably one of the reasons why people would question, well, why would you play Krile? You could just play Citra. She's incredibly efficient. It's 3 CP, fetch any summon in your break zone. You've got more recursion. The threat of it in the hand might be better than the threat of it in the break zone, stuff like that. And I wouldn't disagree. I think Citra is an incredible card. But the other cards that I haven't mentioned yet are Zalera. Okay, you see Zalera in my break zone, Zalera the Death Seraph, big Zalera, and you've got odd costed forwards, you're going to really question attacking, because at any point I could go, okay, at the end of your main phase 2, I'm going to tap 1, or pay 1, tap Krile, I'm going to choose Zalera, and I'm going to cast it at any time, and I'm just going to wipe away all of your odd costed forwards that you have attacked with this turn. And that feels pretty crazy. That, and the third reason I really like her is that she's fun. It's new. It's an ability. It's a cool legend. It's not like big dumb forward is that kind of cool thing. It has big dummy experts. It's kind of a fun, buildy techie card, and I like fun buildy techie cards, and it kind of feeds into Earth's awesome ability to recur stuff where other decks wouldn't. The other card that I saw earlier that I haven't mentioned yet is Amaterasu. And obviously you can get Amaterasu. And I'll talk about that. Let's go into that. So Amaterasu is a 3 CP summon, 3 CP fire summon that you cast it and you choose one auto ability. Cancel its effect. If it was a forward that you canceled, or a forward's auto ability that you canceled, you deal that for 8,000 power. So 8,000 damage. Excuse me, I'm super tired. So you deal 8,000 damage. So not only do you get to kill something, but you get to cancel an auto ability. Again, so you're canceling an auto ability, which can be huge, right? You can cancel Shantoto from your opponent wiping your board. which is a big thing for like big rush fire. Like if your opponent's going to wipe your board with one thing, you're like, okay, 3 CP isn't such a big deal. I've seen a lot of people going back and forth on it. Big names like Matthew Okamoto has been like, well, does it really advance the board state? Which I totally agree with. I totally agree with. It's better. In general, Final Fantasy is such a game of presence and forward threats that having threats is probably generally better than having answers, because anybody can run out the answers, but if every card in your deck is a threat, your opponent's going to need a hell of a lot of answers in order to push you in a direction that you're uncomfortable in. But I really like Amaterasu. I think Amaterasu does something for fire that no other card does, and that's, again, another reason why I think these two cards are worth spotlighting. Especially in conjunction with each other, because Krile works great as the threat, right? You're going to go, okay, at any time, if you see an Amaterasu in my break zone, you see a Krile in my field, I can cast that. I can pay the 1 CP, and if you have any auto ability, I will stack the hell out of it and kill it if I don't want it to happen. Goodbye 7 CP Sephiroth, goodbye 7 CP Fusoya. You're not discarding 2 cards from my hand, you're not killing a forward and drawing 2 cards. Those big things aren't happening. Not only are they not happening, but you're getting punished for playing them. And I think that's good. In general, I think that's good. Do I think Fire needed that? After getting Braska's final Aeon, Marsh, and effectively Ritz? I don't know. I think the producers are doing a lot to push Fire, and I think Fire's awesome now. I love Fire. Fire's so much fun. It's one of the ways that I get people into the game, is that I just go, hey, play this deck that burns everything. But I don't know if I need it. I don't know. I personally like being able to mix in multiple colors, and one of the reasons that I liked water or wind is the ability, like especially wind, it's the ability to like cancel things and get in the way of people's opinions and what they want to do. Much like ice, I really like that ice just allows you to kind of say no to your opponent by freezing them out or by discarding and stuff, and giving fire a pretty efficient burn spell on top of a big, capital NO to your opponent. It's good. It's really good, and it's very good if you can have it on call. Is the point, really, I guess, that I'm trying to make. I'm not sure how great it is leaving it in your hand all the time to hold it and worrying that they're going to play a Sephiroth, or worrying that they're going to play Fusoya, or worrying that you're going to get Shantoto'd, and sitting there and like really holding onto that card and focusing and like not doing other things with that CP, not creating an advanced board state or pushing a threat with Amaterasu. But if Amaterasu is in your break zone and you have Krile, that threat now costs you 1 CP and a tap for it, which a tap for it, I'm not worried about that. But the 1 CP to do it, to have it on call, and it's not even to have it on call. Like, it's, if your opponent's going to kill Krile, you can go, okay, in response, 1 CP, tap Krile, I'm going to do this. And it's a floating effect, so it's there. And unless they remove that summon in response to you tapping Krile, that's available to you for the rest of the turn. And she's only 2 CP. She's an incredibly low investment. Sorry if I'm jumping back and forth between the two, but I really think that the important thing to mention here is how good they are together. Krile is so cheap. She's a warrior of light, so she fits into some archetypes. Cards search her. Backups, they elude me right now, but I know backups search her. She's Earth's, so she's efficient. She's in the best element for searching out cards anyway, and recurring summons. Just gonna say, I personally think that they're great cards. And she and Amaterasu also have a lot of synergies with other cards that are Earth, and elements that kind of work with Earth. I've already mentioned Citra and Light Yuna, but I didn't mention Unalesca, who works with Light Yuna and in order to reduce the cost of summons, and Rydia, who also is an Earth and is also an Earth legend and casts Earth summons, and any summon other than Light or Dark. There's all sorts of great synergies that come in here. Now, do I think summon.deck is going to be nuts? I don't know. But I'm really excited for these new cards. I think they're really cool, and I think if anybody needs anything out of this kind of global slowdown, it's new things to kind of geek out about and look. So if you like the video, if you like my commitment, it's 11:30 at night. I've worked 54, 56, whatever, ton of hours these last 4 days, and like what we're bringing you. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me my hair's pretty. Give us feedback. Let me know what you're thinking. I'm shooting this from my hotel's bathroom because it's got good lighting, and nowhere else does this hotel room. Check out the Patreon. Check out our podcasts that are going on. Hit me up on Twitch. I'll have Dan link that. I plan to be playing some FFTCG on Twitch here. Maybe trying out some other games over Untapped. Most likely I'll be playing some, I guess, COD Warzone in the middle of it too. But you definitely check me out. Message me on Facebook if you have questions. Shout out to Nolan Coulter. He was a huge commenter on the last video about my Realm backup control deck. Super fun, amazing. It was a lot of fun going over that, and it was awesome to see all the engagement. And I got a lot of really good feedback, and that meant the world to me. And Nolan and I were talking about decks, and after looking at his list, I kind of updated my list a bit. So if you want to see an updated list of that, super easy video to make, super easy article, or if you just want a link to my FF decks, send me a message on Facebook. Hit us up at Facebook at Metamaniacs. Hit us up on Patreon for Metamaniacs. I appreciate you. I love you guys. Have a good night.